Okay, good afternoon, students. I'm making this recording before the lecture of Wednesday, but as you know, we finished with Unit 7 the previous week, so today we're starting with Unit 8, and we're going to start with Chapter 15 today. So we're going to have a look at it. So now we've done all the pre-planning, and now we start to implement and control the project. So now this is where we need feedback and parameters, our feedback and information that we need to supply to firstly ourselves and to the client. Okay. So getting into the project control procedures of Chapter 15. Just again, the introduction just highlights managers managers that can anticipate a problem before it happens have a larger chance of success. So please just change that to a T. Managers that can anticipate a project before it happens or problems before it happens has a better chance of success. Effective managers require control. Okay, there are many factors that influence the success: size of the organization, scale of complexity of the project, and all of these influence the way that you need to manage your project. To monitor performance, information needs to be collected in a structured reporting system. However simple, this will assist when things start going wrong, e.g. drawing register, etc. Okay. The three main aspects remain time, money, and resources. And then control procedures within organizations differ, but Denier in 1972 defined it as following: setting standards, comparing regularly, and taking effective action. So we've done all the planning, now we've got a plan, now we monitor our progress against this plan. Okay, so control applied to checking and deviation from the program. So you prepare your master program, you measure your performance, and you compare your actual with your planned. This can be done weekly, monthly, or monthly. It can even be done daily, depending on how large the project is. You report to the managing contractor, and he will assess the deviation, program ahead or behind program. So he will make assessment of that and determine an action and replan and implement. So this is very important. It doesn't help anything if you've got the information but you don't do anything, whether it be no action, being a remedial action or whatever, but there should be an action. Okay. Action, for instance, in this case is sack the site manager, or should it be a planner? Okay. Control procedures within an organization can either be visual and personal, checks by supervisor or site manager. That's a hands-on, going to site, having a look at progress and so on, relying on reporting, regular reports to senior management, etc., and making your derivatives from that report. Then control by exception is policies must be laid down and management only takes notice when any irregularities occur. That is a stance that is taken by many large corporations. If all seems well, it is well. So this is more or less the way that they manage their things. And then your types of budgets. Opening operation budgets, just your staffing, overheads, labor. We've dealt with that extensively. Annual sales budget is your anticipated turnover, including existing contracts and so forth. Your capital expenditure, spending on plant, equipment, development of land, etc. Then your cash flow budget is your forecast for the movement of monies in and out the business. Okay, your master budget is the forecast balance sheet and profit and less account. Okay, so preparing your budgets, prepare the forecast that we've done, consider the company policy. Yes, compute the budget by expressing resources, quantities or values in monetary terms to form an initial budget, and then review the forecast policies and the initial budget until an acceptable budget emerges. Okay, accept the budget at all levels of management. Okay, so we've dealt with that, where it has to be signed off. Okay guys, what is important to remember about the acceptance of the budget at all levels of management is that it should be signed off. No budget should go into construction without it being signed off. So it's a small thing that has a big implication. Okay, then budgetary controls principles. You guys should go through this and be able to use these principles and explain it to me. Prepare a forecast, consider your policy, assess the resources, review, and accept the budget. So that's basically what we've gone through now. And then the control cycle, in contrast to that, is to prepare your forecast, your comparator period. So you can compare the stuff. I've never heard about a comparator word before, so pardon me for that, but it's basically going to be compared, and then compare your forecast to your actual, and then analyze and report, and then you've got your action and implementation that follows within that. So remember that you've got your quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, compare your forecast, actual performance, and so forth. And remember that you need an action after all of those. Okay, then you've got your contract budgets. Without a plan against which to monitor performance, management has no control, and no business can run successfully without keeping close control over the day-to-day finances. Okay, the contractor's allowances in the BOQ will be extracted into a total for each budget category. Okay, so very easy. Your labor, plant, and preliminary budgets is, if you go to your figure 15.3, that's now on page 335 and 36 for your figure 15.4. If you look at your labor expenditure budget, okay, so please make note that we're looking at your budget, your preliminaries and your expenditure. So you've got your man hours and your highest cost variance, which is shown here. So looking at your labor budgets, man hours, man weeks, you draw up a histogram that's shown in figure 15.3, and then from that you can draw a forecast of your cumulative man work hours and your variances. So please go through that for me. Then your next item is your plant budget, which is figure 15.5, where you have your different plant, and then you do your schedule against your time. That's shown on 15.5, and then you've got that drawn out or shown on figure 15.6 on page 338. Okay, please keep in mind whether it's owned or hired, and then optimum of use of your plant and material or your plant is required. Then going to your preliminary budgets, this is now figures 15, 17, 15.7, which is on, sorry, here we go, it's on page 339 and 340, and your most common areas of overspending, it should be highlighted. This is your most common area where you overspend, and most subject to overspending. Okay, so it's emphasized twice. I don't know why I put it there, but it's that's how important it is to have your preliminaries looked after. So please have a look at 15.7 and 15.8. So it's very straightforward. It's you do your histogram and your planning on this level, and you plot it on your graph. So then you can actually have your actual expenditure monitored against your planned. Okay, So I think that's fairly straightforward. I'm not going to go into that this week, but you will see that we're going to go into this in more detail later on. So the same principles that we are going to apply for your course of planning and implementation will apply to all of these. Okay, so just looking at those graphs again, you've got your foundations, brickwork, ground floor, external works, roof, plaster, or first fix, plaster. So this is your labor expenditure that I spoke about earlier on. So you've got your man hours or your man weeks, and you divide that into your different weeks and to calculate your cost. Okay, so you've got your man weeks, so you immediately you've got 4 man weeks planned for your first week of these for your foundations, another 4 there and a 4 there. So you have your cumulative man weeks here at the bottom, which you just plot on your graph like such. Very easy to plot those, and then you just plot your actual against that, and then you can see your variance, how it grows. So you've planned 16 man weeks and you only used 14 man weeks by the week 4 of your project. Okay, just remember your man week is all your labor's time to get to that amount. So please bear that in mind, that it's not actual physical weeks or your normal weeks as we know it, but it's usually all your labor times the cost for or time for that period. Okay, then your plant budget is a little bit different. So you've got your site clearance, excavations, concrete foundations, again your normal items here, your operations, and then you've got your different plant items here. Okay, you may have subdivisions underneath each, but then you've your shovel and your 4 lorries, and your cost for those are 2,000. In this case it's pounds, but let's say it's 2,000 rand divided in week 1, week 2, week 3, and then you add that and you get your cumulative cost again, like we did in the previous lecture. Okay, and then you plot that again, and you can actually calculate your variance to that. I think you guys will get the idea of this. I'll also try and get you guys to do a little graph like this for me. And then your preliminary budget. Your preliminary budget is your site establishment, where you have a little bit of a cost. Then you've got your site accommodation, hire, dismantling, site management, site manager, 1,000 work hours. So this is divided into equal parts. So I think this is fairly straightforward. It depends on how you schedule your project. Again, you add it to the bottom like such, and you have your cumulative action. You've got your actual weekly cost here at the bottom, and then you've got your cumulative weekly cost here at the bottom. Then you can just easily plot that. Again, this is your planned, here's your actual, and there's your variance. Okay. Then your budget control procedures. You've got your budget control procedures are important. These may be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. That's like we discussed. Management must take corrective actions where variances occur. An astute manager is the one who analyzes variances, trends, and applies decisive action at the appropriate time. Variance analysis is comparing the planned with the existing. Management has to highlight variances, report on it, and take action accordingly. Usually demoralizing or subordinates, but failing to meet targets are damaging to the morale as well. Okay, so if you do not meet your targets, it can be demoralizing to the subordinates, but you have to take decisive actions, because if it's prolonged, it will have an even worse effect. Okay, management has to take the hard decision and admit the forecast was wrong and dismiss the responsible person. Forecasting should be realistic and achievable. Importance of site records. It is to protect the parties and to ensure that you as contractor get what you are entitled to, and to prevent subcontractors getting more that they are entitled to. The records are necessary for establishing the basis of a claim, defending a counterclaim, substantiating applications for extension of time, claiming payment for extra work not included in the contract, and reporting to progress meetings. MB, the construction supervisor staff are responsible for site planning personnel meetings. So your supervisory staff is is important or responsible for maintaining your daily diary, recording time lists lost per day due to exceptional rain, cold, keeping records of contractor laborers, his subcontractors, recording verbal instructions, architect or his clerk of works, and additional evacuation works, etc. Issue of drawings, material received, recorded, and then your day work records. Whereas on page 342, the site planning personnel should be responsible for updating the short-term program each week or fortnight, recording progress each week on all the relevant construction programs, e.g. weekly, monthly or so, preparing records for contract as-built programs as work on site progress, then recording the effect of program delays on the final account completion date. Okay, then finally, site-based surveying staff, also on page 344, is responsible for keeping of all site measurements, recording details and measurements of individual variation contracts, the pricing of site day work sheets, correlating instructions received, reconciliation of bills of quantities. Okay. So meetings as part of the project, to discuss the problem areas and suggest alternative solutions, to decide on appropriate actions, request and distribute project information, to review the current situation and reschedule as necessary, to consider areas of resolving bottlenecks, and to consider the opinion of other parties, to develop a team approach to problem solving. And then types of meetings, you've got your monthly site meetings, weekly meetings, your subcontracting meetings. Okay, then measure your key performance indicators. To measure your overall performance, you have to, client satisfaction is the one that one usually forgets about, but you have to look at your defects, your safety, time and predictability, your productivity and your profitability. Okay, so those are your key indicators whether a project has been successful or not. So thanks guys. So you will see it's a lot of theory that we did this week. Next week or next time we're going to look at controlling time. So this is where we're actually going to get into plotting our graphs and actually looking at our time and calculating how much time we're behind or ahead and so forth. Okay, so hope to see you guys there. Thanks, bye.